This episode is exclusively sponsored by CanWe. Get clear on what you and your date are looking for faster. CanWe is your expert guide on your dating journey. Check out the CanWe app in Apple's App Store or on Google Play. Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing dumper regret, the powerful months. I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing dumper regret, the powerful months. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you will likely be focusing on if and when your dumper might regret their decision. Ultimately, a dumper will only regret their decision if they have regrown enough romantic emotional attraction for their ex. So a better question to consider is, do certain months of the year grow more romantic emotional attraction than others? The answer to this question is a generalized yes. Everyone has their own unique circumstances, and this won't be the case for everyone. But for most people, there are 3 months of the year which tend to grow the most romantic emotional attraction. This doesn't mean these are the only months you might hear from your ex, but it's possible that these 3 months could grow the attraction level considerably, and then theoretically there might be less needed to be grown during different months to these 3. In today's podcast, I'm going to discuss the 3 months most likely to grow romantic emotional attraction in a dumper's mind. So let's get straight into this, and number 1 is December. So December has 2 days within it, which are very important for lots of people around the world. Christmas Day being the first, and this is something which is celebrated by many people around the world, whether it's from a religious context, whether it's from the position of just using it as a date to think of loved ones. Whatever your position is with Christmas, Christmas is a huge day for the vast majority of people around the world, I would say. So Christmas Day is a day which brings a lot of thought when you are thinking of loved ones and also past times. There is a lot of reflection around Christmas, especially connected with loved ones from now, loved ones from the past, and also remembering past Christmases that you have experienced. Now, if you are a dumper and you are going through your life as a single person at this time, you will be more likely to be thinking about Christmases gone by. And Christmases gone by would likely have involved your ex, your dumpee. And this is the moment where they will likely be reflecting. And when you reflect on things where now you're considering your life as it might not be as exciting as it once was. Maybe right now you're a dumper and you're a single person. Maybe this isn't as exciting, as loving, as eventful as past Christmases when you was with your ex, where you was feeling a lot of love. Just because this relationship has now ended, it doesn't mean that there wasn't any good times. There would likely have been lots of fantastic times. And Christmas is a great time of year for many people, so there is a strong possibility that when the dumper thinks back to previous Christmases, they will remember wonderful times with their ex. So if the dumper is with somebody new right now, they will likely be focusing on Christmas Day with this new person. It doesn't mean they're not going to reflect on Christmases gone by. It doesn't mean they're going to forget about what has happened in their past. Everybody has a life story, and in that life story are exes, and they will be remembered. So when somebody is experiencing Christmas as a dumpee, they might be wondering, will my ex think of me? Well, the likelihood is that they will think of you at some stage, and depending on how their life is going right now, is whether or not it will start to rebuild romantic emotional attraction in your ex's mind. If a dumper's life isn't going so great right now, there is an increased chance of Christmas growing romantic emotional attraction in their mind and starting to feel regret. This is a very strong possibility over the whole of December, as we are about to now consider the other main date of the calendar in December, and that is New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve has a lot of the connotations that I spoke of with Christmas. It is a time where people think of loved ones, and in some respects I would even say there is more reflection on New Year's Eve than at Christmas, because New Year's Eve is where you think of years gone by. You think of a year that has just taken place, as well as years gone by on New Year's Eve. It is a very emotional time of year. And again, linking in with Christmas, linking in with New Year. When you think of that whole week period, maybe even longer, the build-up, the whole of December, the build-up towards Christmas, then the week in between Christmas and New Year's Eve, you will see as a dumpee there is a lot of potential for you to reflect and for your ex to reflect. It doesn't matter what position your dumper is in right now, they will think back to the past. And if their life isn't going so fantastic, there is an increased possibility that they might start to feel regret. There is an increased possibility of a regrown romantic emotional attraction for you. So when we think of December and we think of Christmas, we think of New Year's Eve, but we also have to consider all of those days in between, all of the build-up to these events. The parties, the going out, the exchanging of gifts, the cards, everything is based around loved ones, past and present, remembering those people who are no longer with us, living life to the full as much as you can. It is a whole range of emotions mixed together. A lot of parties, a lot of celebration, but a lot of reflection, and sometimes, sadly, a lot of sadness. So, as you can see from these things, December is a crucial month of where somebody can regrow romantic emotional attraction for their former partner, because there's so much reflection, there is so much emotion, and there is so much passion which come from Christmas Day and New Year's Eve. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about powerful months for dumper regret. And month number 2 is January. Now, we're not actually going to be focusing on New Year's Day. Maybe you felt that that is where I was going to go with today's podcast, but no, not New Year's Day. If anything, New Year's Day is a day where people start to make New Year's resolutions, they start to look forward, they start to embark on new journeys. So I wouldn't say that New Year's Day is the type of day where a dumper is likely to feel regret, because if anything, New Year's Day is a day where they might be focusing forward. But if you're a dumpee and you're thinking, well, that doesn't sound very good for me, well, don't worry, because not long into January is a date known as Blue Monday. And Blue Monday is often recognised as the most depressive day of the year. Generally speaking, most of the world is experiencing bad weather during this time. It is also the Monday where statistically you'll be most likely to receive credit card bills. You'll start to realise the financial implications of your decisions that you perhaps made during the holiday season. And things such as this combine the bad weather. Your finances might not look as good as they once was. It is also, as long as possible, away from the next Christmas and New Year's Eve. There are other factors as well that come into play, but this phenomenon is now fairly well recognised as a very down day. It's a day where most people don't feel as good as they normally do, and that's why it's called Blue Monday. And Blue Monday, once it comes around in January, is a day once more where your ex-dumper is likely to reflect and quite possibly regret their decisions. If you're not feeling good about yourself, this is when you self-reflect. And if you aren't thinking that things are going the way you want them to go right now, this is where you can really start to think back to better times with your ex. Things such as the fading effect bias work in your favour as a dumpee, because the fading effect bias dictates that negative memories lose their value sooner than positive memories. So as time goes on, negative memories of a breakup will fade somewhat, but positive memories will remain. And that is why when Blue Monday comes around, a dumper is very likely to reflect on better times, quite possibly with their ex. And this is an opportunity for them to grow romantic emotional attraction once more for their former partner. So yes, January is traditionally known as a time to really move forward in a new direction, new beginnings, new starts. But I would say let's look at the bigger picture. Once we get a few days into January, we hit Blue Monday, and this is where self-reflection will likely bring your dumper to thinking of their dumpee once more, and romantic emotional attraction could be moving forward, moving up, moving higher, and if and when it ticks over that necessary high point, that is when a dumper will be more likely to reach out to their dumpee. It might not be in January, but it might build up enough so that there's not much more needed before they will reach out. Every situation is different, nothing can be guaranteed, but Blue Monday in January is a very important time of the year for somebody to self-reflect and quite possibly feel for their ex once more. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about powerful months for dumper regret. And month number 3 is February. So February has a very important day of the year within it, and that is Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, the day of love. Of course, this is the type of day where people will be thinking of their romantic interests. And if your dumper is single during February, this is a time where they will reflect. Once again, we have reflection at the core of what we are speaking about today. If they are single, they will be wondering to themselves, what's gone wrong? Why am I not in a relationship? And quite possibly considering their former partner in a better light than maybe they had recently. Additionally, if the dumper is in a relationship right now, then of course, we have to be honest, we have to be genuine. They will be focusing on their new partner during Valentine's Day, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be thinking about their ex. That doesn't mean they're not going to wonder whether or not their ex has met somebody new. So whether a dumper is in a relationship or not, there is a pull, an interest, an intrigue of whether they'll think about their former partner and wonder, what are they doing on Valentine's Day? Are they connecting with new people? And this type of intrigue can create a level of jealousy. This is why I always say to dumpees, you must move forward with your life, you must move forward with positivity, and you must make new connections. If you are a dumpee, then making new connections, going on dates, is actually a way to increase the possibility of you one day getting your ex back. It might not seem like that, but it will give you an edge in trying to get your ex back. So that is what your dumper may be thinking. It gets to Valentine's Day and they're thinking, I wonder what my ex is doing right now. All of those thoughts, all of that thinking, all of those memories which are coming to, all of those triggers, when they start to believe that their ex might be moving forward with their own life, this is when a dumper might start to grow romantic emotional attraction for them and consider reaching out. Valentine's Day is so important on the love calendar. It's the most important day of the year. And don't forget that you and your ex would have had great Valentine's Days together. And therefore that will always be a trigger. That will always be a memory. That will always be a moment on their life story. You can't delete the past. And your ex will always remember this. So you do your own thing as a dumpy, you move forward, you go on dates, you live your life to the full. And always remember that if you do the right things, which in essence means you move forward and you don't contact your ex again unless they contact you first, your dumper will wonder about you. And when it gets to Valentine's Day, when it gets to February, your ex will be wondering, are they dating someone new? Am I going to bump into my ex with their new partner? You know, these type of things can start to concern your ex to the point of where they start to think about you 24/7. You might not think it's possible, but just as much as you thought about your ex for dumper, that is how much they could think of you. Just because you was really thinking about your ex a lot at the time of a breakup, that doesn't mean your former partner won't get to a time in their life where they think of you. And they are more likely to think of you if they believe you're living your life to the full and you're dating new people. So do that. Get on the journey of dating new people, making new connections, and understand that whilst you're dating new people, your ex will likely be wondering what you're doing with your life. You haven't contacted them, so it's causing them to feel intrigue and interest and start to regrow romantic emotional attraction. So these 3 months, I believe, grow the most romantic emotional attraction in most people. But of course, every situation is different. Birthdays, other events on the year of your personal calendar will increase romantic emotional attraction at different times and at different stages. Not everybody is the same, but this is a generalized concept where most people will have pulls, triggers and thoughts regarding their ex and emotions which can make them feel even more than they once did. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent Bo, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. Date me .tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back, or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent Bo got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, date me .tips, check it out now.